right, everybody. Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Yeah? Been 15 minutes. Listen, I'm here now. Yeah? We ready? All right, and I'm fully prepared. Let me give some background. As to what's happening right now. You know what's happening right now? All right, who knows where I am? I've told people about this a little bit. I think I mentioned on Patreon. Maybe I mentioned it last week. You guys know where I am right now? Was I kidnapped? Morj with glasses? I've worn glasses before. On stream. Okay, first person to guess. Let's see who can guess. Who knows where I'm at? No way, bro is on time with the evening jail stream. Iceland, correct. I'm in Iceland. I'm here with my parents. We're on a little family trip for the week. And that's why the stream time is very different than usual. It is also why the stream is going to be, full disclosure, this is going to be a shorter stream than usual. The good news is we're going to get into the topic a lot faster. It's going to be a shorter stream than usual because we're trying to go see the Northern Lights. And yesterday we sort of saw Northern Lights, but it wasn't as clear as we would like. So a lot of factors play in. How strong is the magnetic, like the solar storm or whatever going on? How much is the cloud cover, etc. Today there's a lot of solar activity or whatever out in the sky. It's like very high, but the cloud cover is very strong. So we're going to try and drive around and see if we can find somewhere with low cloud cover. So that's the plan. Dick so small, I pissed on my balls, thanks for the 10. Yo, Morj, I've actually had an outline drafted on this topic for a while. I sent it your business email, and it's linked in my YouTube account. Give it a skim. I guarantee no argument is as comprehensive. All right, I'm interested. And Dick so small, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to read it live on stream just because at the moment, the internet is so tenuous that I feel scared just moving around tabs whatsoever. I will say this. I don't know when you sent it to my business account, but the email, the official Morj email, has now shifted back to the old Morj email. Before we were under a management group basically, and we've now shifted back to having our own email basically instead of the management group's email. So you can email directly. But yeah, Akash Panda, thanks a lot. Morj, you did not answer the last part of Einkrust's super chat from last stream. When will you play Elden Ring? I'm gonna play Elden Ring. I'm gonna try to start playing Elden Ring. Let's say I go back home, then I've got a week that's gonna be very, very busy. I'm going to try to play Elden Ring starting probably like the second week of October. I think that's when a realistic time window looks. I also want to have the Wano video out. I'm no Elden Ring till I'm done with the Wano video. The Wano video's out. There's one other thing I got to catch from... It was from 02657. You better hope I don't buy that merch bundle or else I'm going to make you talk about Crocomom during my interview. All right, so for those of you who are not in the loop, right now the poster bundles are still... I wish I could link them, but my internet's so shitty right now. I'm scared to link them. The poster bundles for the month covering Egghead Island, Whole Cake Island, and Wano are still being produced for this month. So if you like the One Piece artwork, obviously, or like just collecting One Piece artwork, then obviously this is for you because he's got concepts for every single island and then all collected together. It's the entire world of One Piece. On top of that, obviously, if you're a regular viewer of the streams and everything like that, and you want an opportunity to actually be able to stream and talk live with me for a segment in a stream, then that comes with the poster bundle, plus the online happy hour and stuff like that. So yeah, I think some people thought that it's like a ticket, like a golden ticket type thing where like only some people get selected. No, anybody who gets the poster bundle, you get to stream live with me. There's a scheduled stream that'll happen for that every month. So if you're interested, then definitely head over to the most recent video that we put out. It's going to be in the description. Just check it out from there. Or you can go to the Morj store, and there should be links at the Morj store. Grizzly Adams, thanks to the 2. Iceland vacay at the start of the Elbaf arc. Honestly, I did not even think about it like that. But that's very, very fitting. Should I be buying some, like, Viking merch or something? I don't know. You know what's funny? Okay, so Iceland, it's very Viking-centric. Or they kind of play that up a little bit. And what's interesting is, this is very random, but one, they don't produce a lot of stuff. But one of the things that they are kind of big into is beer. So... it's just funny because their beers are very, very light in terms of alcohol content. But that's also kind of their thing. Like, their beers are their thing, and they, like, promote it a lot. But they're very low in alcohol content, like, generally, like, 4%, 5% max. So it's just funny because, like, they've got these badass-looking beers with these badass names, like Viking Golden Lager or some shit, or like they got Viking in the name very often, like Viking beer, Viking this, Viking that, or whatever, and then you drink it, it's like a 4% like fruity ass beer, and I'm just like, these guys need to go to a country with like real beer. The beers taste really good. But I'm just like, you guys got to take Viking off the name. Like the brand just does not fit. Like call it, I don't know, call it like fairy beer or something like that. That's more what they're offering up here, in my opinion. It's still really good. Jolly G Joestar, thanks for the 5. So you moved to Iceland after your defeat in the Royal Rumble. Nobody spoiled the Royal Rumble for me. I felt really bad. I could not join it yesterday. I wanted to join that stream, but yesterday, like I'm on the vacation here with my family. In my mind, I was like, I'll get time to be like in a hotel and like watch it and everything like that. But then the reality is, we're on the road, we're traveling through the countryside and stuff. There was not time for me to join the Royal Rumble. For those of you who don't know, it's an event that King of Lightning hosted, where it was like an anime, like a AI. I know AI is taboo for you guys, but like it's just what it was, right? It's like a AI version of me and a bunch of other One Piece YouTubers getting into like a WWE type brawl. I'm gonna try and watch it when I get a chance, but maybe I'll react to that another day or something like that. Maybe I'll react to that sometime, maybe next week or something. No, next week, if there's a break week after this chapter, I probably will do a top 30, but I might react to the WWE thing later. So that could be fun. It's just, it could be fun. It's just, what am I trying to say? I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil it. Please. Ender Ayanami, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 24 months, man. Yearly reminder to read Fire Punch. I need to finish Fire Punch. Fire Punch has genuinely been on my mind. I read, again, I think I mentioned, to chapter 30. I took a bit of a break, because around that point, there's a sort of intermission point or something. I'm going to start over from the beginning, just because there's a lot of details I've forgotten. But I remember it was mind-blowing when I was reading it. My fear since Imu's introduction has been Blackbeard getting cucked of his final villain status, like Madara was by Kaguya. My final cope is Blackbeard doing the cucking at the 11th hour. Dude, that's very possible. I mean, that's a very piratey move to do. It's a very, very piratey move to do, so it would be in character. I don't think it's the same as Kaguya, because it's just like... The biggest difference is that the world government in itself has been built up as the main villains of the story for so long. Like, before even Blackbeard. It started being... Like, before Blackbeard even existed as a character... It started being implied, I think literally since Drum Kingdom, right? It started being implied that the world government is the bigger problem to deal with in this story. And the point is that Oda couldn't give like the true core face of the world government for some time, because that would ruin the idea of there being like layers and layers and layers to how deep the actual level of corruption goes, till you get to the very bottom and it turns out it's just straight up a dictatorship, right? Even once the Celestial Dragons were introduced, you could argue Celestial Dragons were introduced as the main villains of the story halfway through the story, or even more than, like, even earlier than halfway through the story. It's just that Oda couldn't give the face at the leader of the Celestial Dragons for some time, right? Kaguya is very different. Kaguya was offhand mentioned, like, once, literally once in the story, and then never again. And it's just the symbolic... like, the way Oda's been structuring the story, it's always been about, it seems like, getting to the core of the world government. And on top of that, Imu's been framed as the main villain potentially way earlier than Kaguya. Kaguya got mentioned early, but never actually framed as the main villain. Imu, like, if we say One Piece is a story that's going to end, like, the estimate that I had, that seemed honestly maybe a modest estimate, was basically 1300 at the earliest and then 1400 at the latest, right? So with that logic, Imu being introduced at what, chapter 900-ish, right? Around chapter 900? That's like, there's still fucking 400 chapters of the story to go, minimum, possibly 500 chapters of the story. You can fit an entire, you can fit multiple other full manga series in that span of time, So it's not quite the same. Akash Panda, thanks for the 5. Once Imu starts Great Cleansing, the world will be better off in Blackbeard's control. I want Imu to be the final villain because I want it to be darkest before the dawn. I agree with that. I just prefer Blackbeard as a concept, so it's complicated. Dick so small it puts on the balls, thanks for the 2. I sent it to Mr. Morjman. Oh shit, you sent it to Mr. Morjman? Okay, we can take a look into that then. I'm surprised. If you don't mind sharing what the subject line of the email is, it might be easier to check. Alright, also I don't know what the Streamlets are at. I'm scared to check now. I don't want to mess around with tabs too much. The internet here, I'm surprised we're streaming without issue. Just get the Streamlets to the next benchmark. Get the Streamlets to 100. I think that's reasonable. Uchek, always good to see you, man. Thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 24 months. 2 years. Holy shit. Thank you so much, man. Seriously, thank you. Nick C, thanks for the 10. I thought Blackbeard represented the moon in our solar system since the Gorsey names drop, but somehow didn't put together Garling obviously does till 1125. He's just a black hole that could destroy it all. I think at this point, I'm trying not to get too caught up into like who represents what in the solar system. Because it's kind of just like, I think different characters could represent different things. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, it's kind of like the fucking Kazuki are represented by the moon too. You know, like Momonosuke, Kazuki, like they're represented by the moon. Like different characters represent different things at different points in the story. You could argue that Garling represents a star, right? Luffy represents the sun, obviously in general, but I just don't think it, like at this point, I'm like, maybe it's not that like crazy, like specific all throughout. I think we've just landed on Imu representing the Earth because Imu controls the world, one. But two, it's just like, you know, he's the only planetary body left, so people were penciling him in. Some people said Imu represented the moon. I don't know, like Garling representing the moon, I don't know at this point. I think let's just wait and see. He looked like a star in the last depiction we got of him, so there's something to be said there. Hi-yo, thanks for the 10. I do feel like Blackbeard should be the final villain based on the move he's making, but I just can't see him beating Imu to take the final villain status. At best, he'll use the vacuum to become king. If I'm thinking, I feel like Blackbeard, at this moment in time, we're going to go through some reasons and arguments for both. At this moment in time, in my opinion, Blackbeard being the final villain, I think that's more interesting. I think Imu being the final villain is a bit more likely. That's where I'm kind of at. I could see it going both ways, though. Should we do a quick poll before we start, just to see? Subject, Imu ain't shit, Blackbeard is final villain. Oh, dude, I've seen this. I saw this email. I'm going to be honest, I didn't read it. But I do think that that email, I've seen that subject line in my inbox. I will take a look into it before next stream, I think. Jolly D. Joestar takes the 2. First enemy was a pirate, last enemy would be Blackbeard. First enemy was not actually a pirate. First enemy was a mountain bandit. So I think we could see the world's strongest mountain bandit being an enemy, but, you know, I don't know who the world's strongest mountain bandit is. It's possible that Huguma was the world's strongest mountain bandit. Damn, imagine being the world's strongest mountain bandit and then losing, like, losing chapter 1. Like, we don't know Higuma's story. Like, what if Higuma before this had, like, a really complex, like, whole 800 chapter shonen story where, like, he trained to be, like, he fought his way to becoming the strongest mountain bandit on that island, in Windmill Village. Like, he became the strongest mountain bandit in East Blue. Like, he just had a whole storyline. And then, like, then cut to One Piece. One Piece begins, and then he just loses to a random pirate. Dada and final boss confirmed. Hylos, thanks for the 5. Also, do you see any redemption for Celestial Dragons? Charlo's sister questioning about the Void Century raised my eyebrows about them being depicted just evil. Celestial Dragons, it's really complicated. It's really complicated because it's just like, some of them have done such bad things, it's just difficult to say, you know? Like, some of them are like, I'm sure a lot of them are like rapists, murderers, like, it's really hard to see them getting true redemption, but then you got Don Quixote Mjosgård, right? It's just, like, there is a message to be said there that the Celestial Dragons are ultimately, as far as we can tell, they're not just like genetically a bunch of evil characters, right? They're not just like genetically born to be evil. The idea, like, that goes against the themes of One Piece in the first place, but then also too, like that, like, you know, just because you come from an evil family, that means everyone of you is evil. But it's more so that, like, we can understand that the world, how do I say this? So, for example, like, Alabasta Kingdom, right? Alabasta was on the side of the world government in that initial war. So you can end Alabasta at the last minute for whatever reason. Lily realized something, and then she decided not to go join the Celestial Dragons. But we could live in an alternate reality where the Nefertari family did join the Celestial Dragons, and then Vivi today would likely be just as bad as any other Celestial Dragon, because they grow up in such a bubble that they're literally not aware that they're supposed to treat, you know, human beings as anything. Like, they literally grow up thinking that they are a higher being than humans, right? It's kind of like, I mean, like, generally people are influenced very strongly by what the general society around them thinks, even though a lot of people like to think that, like, they don't fall into that. that they're free thinkers and they're progressive, blah, blah, blah. They don't fall into that bubble. But no, reality is like literally we have 10,000 years of human history that show that people will generally just do all the bad shit that the rest of their society does. Like we could see in like 200 years or something, people might be like shocked that we like farm pigs and chickens to kill them and shit like that, or like whaling, or like we ride horses and shit like that. Like people in 200 years could view that as like savage and barbaric, but we just look around and we're like, everybody else is cool with this. All right, it's morally okay. And then that's basically just how it works, right? So that's basically the celestial dragons. They grow up in literal bubbles. Oda's very explicit with it. He has them walk around in bubbles. They don't know right from wrong because they've never been taught. Actually, they have been taught, and it's further than that. They've been literally taught from a young age that it is morally correct for them to treat humans as lesser than them, right? So if you're taught that that's what's morally correct, that's generally what you're going to do. Again, that's just generally consistent across all of human nature, all of human history, right? So it depends. I think the simple fact that Oda's been playing with the celestial dragons and showing, Don Quixote Mjosgård, like Don Quixote, or like homing, stuff like that. Don Quixote homing and Celestial Dragon Mjosgård and stuff like that. The fact that he's had Celestial Dragons have breakthroughs and realizations. I mean, Corazon, one of the best characters in the story, born of Celestial Dragon, taken out of that environment, voila, he's not a bad person anymore, right? At the same time, so many Celestial Dragons have done so many bad things that it's basically like, can you actually redeem them? I think that in some other series you could, but Oda's not going to spend like the sufficient amount of time to redeem like a fucking society of, rapists and like genocidal maniacs and murderers and stuff like that, and like slave owners, you know what I mean? So like that's something, like you can't just do that offhand the way that like you need to devote a crazy amount of like you need to write like a fucking like long ass character focused singular storyline just to develop a single character to reasonably have redemption, if that's even possible, and some people would still say it's not possible, So I think it's possible Oda might attempt to have redemption, but I think what he does with Celestial Dragons is a very complicated situation. I just can't see a way that could be done logically well, outside of maybe like severe punishment, like them being forced to do X, Y, and Z or something, I don't know. Ramen Stain, thanks for the 5. Is it possible that the different characters who all share moon symbolism could represent different phases of the moon? I don't know if, like, Oda's going to go that... I mean, like, at that point, it's like, what? Garling represents the crescent moon, right? If we go by its face, right? But then don't the Kazuki also represent the crescent moon? So, in that regard, it's already kind of taken up. Existential Crisis, thanks for the view. Hanafuda's page 1 and Ulti's dad, maybe. The thing is, I think I looked into that, and the timelines don't line up. No one in particular says, finally I can watch you live. You might be European, might be my guess. And guess what? I am in the European time zone. I'm in Iceland right now. JDG, thanks for the 5. Mentioned Garp still being alive and got shut down, so I'm just here to gloat a little. I don't think I ever said Garp's not going to be alive. I don't think I've ever on stream said that Garp is going to be dead. I don't think I ever said that we're going to cut back to Garp being dead. I've always thought that Garp's going to be alive, and that he was going to be used as a bargaining chip. I have a whole ass video talking about that. I will say one thing that I talked about that I feel justified in talking about now. I felt like I was going fucking crazy. Oda depicted a fight that very clearly displayed Garp as like being ahead of Aokiji and it requiring a whole ass team. Like he made it very, very fucking clear that it took a whole ass team effort for them to stand a chance like taking down Garp, and it required them like taking advantage of the fact that Garp had to babysit like his subordinates, right, for them to use sneak attacks, right? Even then it required extra. In like a full Yonko crew plus Aokiji against Garp, it still required them playing dirty and trying to attack Kobe and stuff like that for them to actually ultimately take down Garp. Like it's impossible to have read that fight and felt like at any point was Oda implying that Aokiji is above Garp, because what Oda did was handicap Garp over and over and over and over again in order for them to be able to take down Garp. If Oda wanted to imply Aokiji is stronger than Garp, he would have just had Aokiji beat Garp and not included all these other characters, you know? And so then what do you know? Latest chapter, Oda establishes that, yeah, it factually took, like, it was, and the Viz translations are even more generous to Garp, and apparently the Viz translations are more accurate to canon, which is, it literally, like, with a full team effort, they barely took him down. So I think I don't know. It was very clear that Garp is stronger than Aokiji from that fight. Because there was just not a single thing in that fight whatsoever that seemed to be implying that Oda is saying that Aokiji is stronger than Garp. Like, not a single thing. Like, there's no panel to point to or line of dialogue to point to that's saying, like, Oda's trying to tell us that Aokiji is stronger than Garp. Like, the whole fight seems to be bent towards showing that Garp is, like, they need to pull out every single stop, every single trick in the book to finally take down this dude, right? Aokiji was the most useful in taking down Garp. He's the only one that could have, like, stood up to him 1v1 for some period of time. But it was still very clear that Garp was just, like, ahead of him. And that was the thing that blew my mind the most, which is just, like, it just goes to show, because, like, it just goes to show how how resolute and unchangeable people are in their power scaling opinions. Because before the fight, most people had Aokiji above Garp, because Garp was old. Then the fight happened. Garp kicks out Aokiji's ass for, like, 3 chapters. And it takes, like, teamwork and cheating for them to be able to beat Garp. And then for, like, a little bit, I remember the reactions in the streams after the fight ended. People were like, yeah, Garp's clearly above Aokiji. Then a month passed and people kind of just forgot. And then the general consensus seemed to go back to, like, oh, but Aokiji's still probably just stronger than Garp. He was supposed to be stronger. We ignore the fight, right? And I was just mind blown because I'm like, oh, so once people have a certain power scaling opinion, if it's really locked in, it's almost not impossible to change, no matter how much evidence. Like, I'm like, what level of evidence would people need? If people don't accept it with this chapter to change their minds, I think that it's just basically like power scaling in the community is just like fucked because people just will never change their minds about anything. I, by the way, had Aokiji above Garp before the fight. You can go check my previous top 30 list. I'm pretty sure I put Aokiji above Garp in that list. I'm pretty sure. And then I read the fight and I'm like, yeah, never mind. Garp's obviously stronger. I was just mind blown. Other people didn't change their mind. Anyway, I miss Zamdi I super chat. Thanks, Akash Panda. Zamdi AI, thanks for the 5. Which one in the final war is which one is the final war more similar to? Marineford, God Valley, or Onigashima? I think that can determine who's going to be the final villain. I feel like it's going to be most similar to Onigashima. Because Marineford is different in that Marineford is like, I feel like God Valley will be what like Luffy versus Blackbeard is like. I feel like Marineford is like not really like anything because Marineford is kind of more so just a big tragic battle, whereas Onigashima was this big planned, prepared allied war that went to war against beast pirates and they succeeded. I think Marineford or Onigashima is probably what the final war will be a bit more like. I think God Valley is what Luffy versus Blackbeard will be like. Lars Caesar, thanks a lot. Everyone in Final Saga is important. East Blue backwards could mean Blackbeard equals Don Krieg, Shanks equals Kuro, Sakazuki equals Morgan, Emu equals Avida, keeping up a delusion. I'm so fucking confused. Blackbeard equals Don Krieg, Shanks equals Kuro, Sakazuki. I could see Sakazuki equals Accent Morgan. I think Blackbeard is much more similar to like Captain Kuro because he's all about his plans and his schemes and Black Cat, Blackbeard. Mihawk would then fit into the penultimate arc for Zoro. I think that's stretching it a bit too far, personally. Mihawk T. Goat, thanks to the 2. Kuzan was lying to get Blackbeard's trust. I mean, I think he was lying about going for the kill. I'm not accepting that part. I think he was lying about going for the kill. But saying that it was a whole team effort, that's not something that there's any need to lie to Blackbeard about. That's irrelevant to trying to get Blackbeard's trust. If anything, he would be trying to imply that he's the one who did pretty much the majority of the work. That gets him more trust, right? So it actually goes against his interest to acknowledge that, hey, it took all of us together. I couldn't do it alone. I do think that trying to go for the kill, that's a line that he fed just to make it clear to Blackbeard that, hey, he's trying to make it clear that he's trying to kill Garp, you know? Reflexy, Blackbeard in Emu's body with substitution surgery. Hey, what is this? Is this Jujutsu Kaisen? If Blackbeard's in Emu's body, I'm just like, what's the point of him having collected these devil fruits, you know? Nick C, thanks for the 5. To be fair to the Garling Moon thing, some symbols here I don't understand, is Greek for moon and is pronounced like Figari, which is quite similar to Figaro, but I get your point. I don't know enough to understand if that's what to make of that personally. Maybe some people who can read Greek have a better understanding. As Sean Nazir says, hasn't Kuma sacrificed enough without needing to die? I mean, I don't think people understand. Look, I'd be perfectly fine if Kuma didn't die if Oda hadn't written that chapter that was so, like, what was it, chapter 1102. You can't write a chapter like 1102 and then not follow through. If you wanted to just say, if Oda just wanted to pull the lever and be like, hey, Kuma's giving up his consciousness, that's fine. The problem is framing it with all that dramatic shit. Like the page of Kuma running through his life and all of the characters he's met, etc. And literally characters praying to God as God's rays are raining down on them. Like all of that stuff, like that entire chapter. It's just the most shallow, fake-ass, like hollow dramatic BS if nothing tragic, like nothing permanent is actually happening to Kuma. that chapter is framed as though this is the end, this is goodbye, this is sayonara to Kuma, right? If you want to just erase Kuma's consciousness and bring him back, that's fine. Just don't try and work in the waterworks, you know? You can't have, I don't think people understand, right, what I'm trying to say with these things. The taboo that Oda is doing is not allowing characters to live. That's not the problem. It's that he tries to have it both ways, where he tries to write scenarios where he, like, squeezes all the dramatic juice out of the concept of the character dying, right? He tries to squeeze all the dramatic juice out of the concept of the character dying, and feeding that to the reader, or at least being the end of the character or whatever, and then he still says the character still gets to live in the end. That's not real writing. No serious literary author does that. That's just, because by that logic, no author, like, if there's not an issue with doing that, then no author should ever kill a character ever. Does that make sense? The reason authors actually commit to their death scenes is because death only has actual meaning if you go through with it. Otherwise, it's joke writing. It's not real writing, right? If there's no problem, literature-wise, with pretending to kill off a character, squeezing a bunch of dramatic juice out of it, making the reader cry, and then bringing the character back, because it's like, don't they deserve to have a happy ending? Then every author should just always do that. You should never kill a character, right? What's the logic? Why would you ever kill a character? Because apparently it's the same thing. Nothing is lost if you pretend to do the tragic death scene and then bring them back. It's the same thing, right? Why did fucking Mufasa have to die at the end? Why don't we bring Mufasa back at the end of The Lion King, right? Why don't we, like, fucking bring back Bellamere, bring back Haralook? Just all Oda needs to do is, like, write in, like, a little loophole or out for each of them, and then, like, each of that, like, fucking, there was a doctor at Marine Ford, right? If there was a doctor at Marine Ford, you can reveal, like, 400 chapters later that, hey, the doctor actually got to Ace and saved him at the very end of it. You're allowed to, right? And it's the same thing, right? You get the tragedy of Ace dying and a happily ever after, right? No, that's just so obviously shit writing, it shouldn't need to be explained. Because the simple proof that it's shit writing is every other good author ever does not do that. That's the simple proof that it's bad writing. It's a simple taboo. It's not something that needs to be explained, but apparently it is. So I will explain it in depth in my video as soon as we see Saul again. Not Saul, like, it'll be with Saul again, and I might have to do it again if Kuma doesn't die. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Kuzan pushes Prime Garp to extreme diff. I mean, if you think Garp has somehow not deteriorated from his prime at all, then maybe that might make sense. But, like, Prime Garp would just do to Kuzan what Luffy basically did to Kizaru once he got serious. Pizza diff. Fuck, what else was I saying? I forget. Doesn't matter. Rayhan Azar, thanks to the 5. The OG elders are fodder, and Imu's going to take his power back from all of them except Garling for the final battle with Luffy as a plot twist type shit. The thing is, but then, like, the other Strats need fights and shit, you know? I don't think they can be fodder. Rabata, thanks for the 2. Frankie should have gotten a bigger role in Egghead. I agree. Oda gave him more things to do, but there's a difference between things to do and actually having, like, character writing, you know? Umair, thanks to the 5, but Morj, we saw Aokiji go all out and he fought for 10 days against Akainu with an elemental disadvantage. Garp doesn't have that endurance. See, the thing is, that assumes that Garp couldn't just put him down, right? I don't understand why people are referencing, like, that's like saying, like, you could tell me, oh, Morj, we saw Luffy fight Katakuri for, like 24 hours. Garp doesn't have that endurance, you know, that, like, you just go down, right? One, it's never established that Garp's endurance is that bad. His endurance was kind of insane. He didn't lose because of endurance. That's not what was established. People assume that because he's old, that means that his endurance has to be, like, shit. It doesn't. Like, the reality, like, I literally don't understand the mental gymnastics it takes to, like, take some other fight and then use that as proof that this character would win against, like, character A versus character B, use that as proof that character A would win against character C, when we already see character A fight character C. Use that, use the actual Aokiji versus Garp fight as the example, right? Like, at the end of the day, yeah, Akainu fought Aokiji. You could argue that there's an elemental disadvantage. I don't think that's implied from their fight. I don't think Aokiji was fighting an uphill battle the entire time. If he was, that means he's actually way stronger than Akainu, because if he basically tied with him with an extreme elemental disadvantage, then that means Aokiji is generally much stronger than Akainu, right? Which I think most people don't think. But at the end of the day, Garp has significantly better Haki than what Akainu has shown. Maybe Akainu's leveled up his Haki, but as far as we know, Akainu's not doing shit like Galaxy Impact, Galaxy Divide. A simple comparison is Garp could damage Marco pretty easily, whereas Akainu couldn't, right? What we saw, Akainu tried to hit, like, when Akainu hit Marco, etc., he's never actually done damage. So there's a big hockey gap there, right? Like, if the only argument is endurance, I think the simple fact that Garp, without even using a Galaxy Impact, like a single attack against Aokiji, had Aokiji coughing up blood or spitting up blood, that's not a good sign for Aokiji. I just don't get what why people, like, you use, how do I say this? You generally use fights against other characters as a way to scale if the characters you're comparing, if the main two characters you're comparing have not fought yet, right? So if I'm comparing, like, how I think Zoro versus Sabo might go, right? Then I would say, like, well, Zoro did this against King, therefore I think Zoro might do this against Sabo, right? Like, that's what you're trying to draw points of comparison. So you're like, well, Zoro fared this well against King, therefore I think he's got a good shot against Sabo, right? However, there's no point in me bringing up Zoro versus King anymore if we actually get to read Zoro versus Sabo in the manga and Sabo kicks Zoro's ass. You see what I'm saying? Like, at that point, it's like, you throw that out the window. That'd be like me saying, like, Zoro, like, that'd be if I was, like, saying, like, Zoro versus, like, if we got Luffy versus Lucci, right? And I'm saying, like, well, Lucci did this well against Luffy, therefore I think if he fought Zoro, Lucci would beat Zoro, right? That'd be fine until we actually get Lucci versus Zoro, in which case there's no need to debate hypotheticals. We actually just see what happens and Zoro wins, right? What's the point of comparing Akainu versus Aokiji if we already get to see Aokiji versus Garp? We're no longer debating a hypothetical, right? We already see Garp kicking Aokiji's ass for the entire fight while Aokiji has a shit ton of help and Garp is absurdly handicapped and Garp isn't even using any of his main attacks against Aokiji, right? I don't understand what the point is. All right. Sienna Mono says, Akainu has 10 times more attack power. Why do you act like Galaxy Impact would do anything worse than Akainu did to Aokiji? Makes zero sense. It depends how you compare attack power. For example, I don't think, like, I think Akainu is more like he can burn off Whitebeard's face. Garp's not going to burn off Whitebeard's face. But on the flip side, Garp can do stuff like damage. Like, his hockey's much higher, right? So his attacks are blunt attacks, but he can do something like damage Marco. Akainu doesn't have the offensive output from what we saw in Marine 4 to damage Marco. He couldn't do it with a punch. Garp could do it with a punch, right? It's a simple comparison to be like, it's possible that Garp could do a lot more damage to someone like Kaido than someone like Akainu could to Kaido, because Akainu's not really affected by magma. So once you're not really affected by magma, then it comes down more so to, like, how strong your hockey is. And from everything we've seen, Garp's hockey is way above Akainu's. Granted, I think Akainu's hockey could have gotten a lot stronger. I don't really understand, again, though, what people are debating here when we already saw Garp versus Aokiji. Why would you cling to Aokiji versus Akainu? You realize that, like, you realize how absurd it is to cling to that fight to argue how Aokiji versus Garp would go when we already see how Aokiji versus Garp goes. Do you realize how crazy that is? Weezy Bird says, Punk Hazard is proof Aokiji didn't go all out versus Garp. Galaxy Impact and Galaxy Divide are proof that Garp didn't go all out versus Aokiji. That's number one. Second, Punk Hazard is what Aokiji did over the course of 10 days. You know what I'm saying? That's 10 days. It's not like, it's never implied that, like, there's nothing in the story that suggests that Aokiji could just do, freeze all of Punk Hazard in a single attack or something like that, right? That's over the course of 10 days. Second, we already saw that Aokiji can't freeze Garp, right? So that's already established. So Ice isn't really effective against Garp. Aokiji can't freeze Garp. So what you're essentially arguing is that Aokiji, through just hockey punches, would somehow outpunch Garp. Do you think Aokiji can outpunch Garp? And just think for a moment how absurd that is, and what feats would you even be referencing if that's the case? I don't even understand. Okay. All right. We're done with this. We're moving on. All right, we're going to do arguments for Blackbeard, I did tell you guys that this stream is going to be shorter, so we got another 30 minutes. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do arguments for Blackbeard, arguments for him. And everyone can see you and everything, right? All right. Can I make a line? Yeah, let me do a line. Yeah, all right, this is a good line. That's a pretty good line. Okay. Sienna Mono says, Marco stopped Akainu because of plot. If he doesn't, Luffy dies. LMAO, Marco's used as a hype tool for Garp and moving forward. Stop embarrassing yourself. So I just don't even understand that. Like, because then that just means that you essentially just get to pick and choose what feats count based on, like, if you like them or not. Because it's just like, you can make that argument for anything. It's like, well, it was used to help the plot. It's like, okay, so... Like, by that logic, nothing means anything, right? Like, it's like, remember when Whitebeard and Akainu stalled Whitebeard at Marineford? You could just be like, Akainu can't actually fight evenly with Whitebeard. He was just used to stall Whitebeard for the plot. Everything is used for the plot. It's a fucking, what the fuck does that even mean? Zoro can't actually beat King. He just had to beat King so that King wouldn't help Kaido against Luffy. So he did it for plot. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's like, by that logic, nothing means anything. Like, Zoro can't beat Lucci. Lucci just had to be defeated so that the Strides could escape the island. You know, otherwise Zoro would take too long and be stalled for too long. What the fuck does it even mean? It just was for plot. The reality is, Kainu trying to actually kill, he was going for a fucking kill shot, and I believe it was against Jinbei, so it wasn't even like some random ass like throwaway kill. Like, he was doing a fucking kill shot. And Marco stopped it, and that's the reality. And then the fight continued, like Akainu versus the Whitebeard Pirates. Akainu couldn't damage Marco. The only damage Marco took in Marineford was 1, from Garp, 2, once he had Sea Stone Cuffs on. That's it. It's the fucking Phoenix fruit. You need like advanced Conqueror's Haki and shit like that to damage it, as far as we can see. All right. Kaido lost for the plot. Yeah, like anything in the story fucking happens for plot, you know? Yeah, Lucci was secretly stronger than Luffy at Enies Lobby, but Lucci had to lose for plot. But yeah, like fucking... yeah, that's how feats work. Alright. Oh, sorry, I missed some supers? Let me check. Okay, I'm sorry. Catching up here. Okay, alright. Oh my god, there's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. Okay, oh my god. Okay, let me catch these. I've been derailed. It's not my fault. I've been derailed. Okay, here we go. Let's catch these. V7 2021, thanks for the 2. Akainu's fighting Sabo. Old Garp greater than Akainu, greater than equals Kuzan. If Akainu fucking loses to Sabo, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Sabo? No... What... Sabo? Who couldn't even, like, handle a Fujitora who was trying, who's literally trying to lose? Sabo? Seriously? I understand people's argument that Sabo might have gotten better with his Devil Fruit since Dressrosa, but to the point that he beats somebody that's I don't even understand, do people forget who Akainu is? Akainu was fucking going toe-to-toe with Whitebeard. You know, like fucking Whitebeard. And yeah, it's Whitebeard past his prime, but prime Whitebeard is stronger than every character alive except for Emu, right? So he's still fucking going toe-to-toe with Whitebeard, you know? Like, do people think that, if for people to say that Sabo is going to beat Akainu at the end of the story, that basically means that people think Sabo in, in this saga, Sabo is going to go from fucking, at best first mate level in Dressrosa to being, do you guys really think Sabo's gonna be stronger than Whitebeard at Marineford by the end of the story? Is that really what people think about Sabo? It just makes no fucking sense. Ignorant Weed, thanks for being a pirate. I mean, I guess Oda could make him have huge jumps. It's just, Sabo doesn't seem, he's not written to be a Conqueror's Haki user either. He doesn't fit the criteria or the bill whatsoever. And he's fucking, he's not gonna have Conqueror's Haki, so it's just what the fuck, how's he gonna do it? His fruit's not as good as Akainu's. He's got nowhere near the mastery, he's not as strong hockey-wise as Akainu. Akainu is clashing with Whitebeard and shit. It just makes no sense to me. Ignorant Weed, thanks for being a Pirate King chairman for 12 months. Yamato will come to Elbaf and say, I'm Odin. Giants will be offended and will try to execute her for blasphemy. Shirororo. Let's fucking hope, man. Yamato's a cover story. One for the ages, huh? Also, let's get the stream likes to 150. I don't know what they're at right now. Carson Cock, thanks for the 5. I think Blackbeard joins the Kings and thus is on the same team as Emu in the world government. Oh, interesting. Similar to Warlord in pre-time skip, Luffy will beat Emu and then Blackbeard will gain more power. Blackbeard being on the world government side for some period of time, that could be pretty cool. I like that idea. Stormfox, thanks for the 2. I know a guy who still thinks Garp is at Jack level. I don't... They must think Jack is really fucking strong then. They'll probably scale Jack above the Admirals, huh? Lars Caesar, thanks a lot. Blackbeard is making himself the strongest with external abilities, just like Krieg. He might come sooner than we'd like to think. Ah, I see what you're saying. I still view more similarities personality-wise to, like, Kuro, just very scheme-based, plan-based, flies under the radar, just a black cat, Blackbeard vibe, but I see what you're saying. Aaron Youngblood, thanks for your first super ever. Thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, what do you think Blackbeard's going to do with Saturn's face now that Saturn's dead? So I've shifted over to what other people were saying, which is that it's more so likely to allow him to control the Seraphim or the Pacifistas. The Vortex Flames, thanks for the 5, and thanks for your 3rd super ever. What if Blackbeard absorbs Emu's powers and distributing that power to his crewmates? So I don't think Blackbeard would distribute it. I don't think he's a distributing type of guy. I think if he got his hands on, like, that sort of thing, he would just take it for himself, right? I do think it's possible Blackbeard absorbing Emu's power would be really cool, because it seems likely that Emu has a Zoan, and Blackbeard likely, he's a Zoan hunter as far as we can tell, right? So, like, or not Zoan hunter, he's hunting for a Zoan is most likely, right? Because that's missing from his repertoire. So he's gotten the strongest Logi as far as we can tell. He's gotten arguably the strongest Paramecia. So getting the strongest Zoan, that would kind of top him off, right? Grizzly Adams, holy shit, thanks for the 10, man. One Piece isn't Pokemon, and elemental disadvantage only exists if Oda specifically adds it in. Kuzan could potentially freeze or cool down Akainu's magma, so it's just rocks. They're opposites. Yeah, I think it kind of has to be stated. I do think it would make sense for magma to counter ice. I think it was even commented on in Marineford that, like, Akainu's magma could melt Aokiji's ice. But I don't think we're supposed to view Aokiji as essentially have been fighting with, like, a severe disadvantage at Marineford. If that's the case, it would mean that Aokiji's way stronger than Akainu overall. If he did so well against, like, a huge disadvantage, you know? Okay. Almost there. Miyakti Goat, thanks for the 2. If Akainu has advanced Conqueror's Haki, he would surpass Roger. I don't think so, because to me it's just like... I feel, I mean, maybe it's close, but I feel like Akainu versus Whitebeard at Marineford, I don't think Whitebeard was using Advanced Conqueror's Haki at Marineford. He couldn't use Conqueror's Haki at Marineford, right? So, like, at best, Akainu is about equal to Whitebeard, who was having heart attacks and couldn't use Advanced Conqueror's Haki, right? So then if you give Akainu Advanced Conqueror's Haki, you would say at best it gets him to prime Whitebeard and Roger's level, but it wouldn't put him above them, right? Because, again, the point of comparison is just Whitebeard himself at Marineford. So, again, if you want to say Akainu is equal to Whitebeard then without Advanced Conqueror's Haki, right? But Whitebeard was also having heart attacks, so it's like, to me, it's quite a stretch. And he had no stamina. So it's just like, if you give him Advanced Conqueror's Haki, it would just be the same boost as Whitebeard would get Advanced Conqueror's Haki that puts him near Roger, basically, or about Roger's level. But again, that was with Whitebeard having heart attacks and shit. Like, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying overall, right? Like, I don't think it would put him at Roger's level. L, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 19 months. If Emu's a woman, she's not the final boss. Have we seen Luffy punch women? I mean, the first pirate that he ever defeated, right? Blackbeard's final boss with 3 devil fruits would be crazy. I mean, I don't know about the whole Emu being a woman thing. I've seen some people saying that Emu has possessed Lily. I don't know about all that. I would be surprised if Oda makes One Piece's final boss a woman, because Oda is somewhat sexist in his not sexist, but, like, it's just a manga where, like, pretty much every strong character is a man. And what's funny is, like, the one top tier female character that existed, Big Mom, was also, like, fucking caricature, like, mentally unstable, emotionally unstable, like, mom, which for some reason just feels also not really gender equality. It's like, kind of like, I feel like, I wonder if Oda had a conversation with one of his editors and was like, listen, Oda, like, you got all these crazy strong One Piece characters, but what if we had, like, a top tier character that happened to be a woman? Because, like, out of all the top tiers, like, all these Admirals and Yonko and, like, all that shit, and Gorosei and fucking Dragon and, like, Ibu and Roger and Shiki and every strong pirate from the previous, like, every strong character you've ever made has basically been a dude. So what if we threw in one woman and he's like, all right, I'll make a female top tier, but here are the rules. 1, she's the shittiest top tier. She sucks, and I'm going to humiliate her every chance I get. 2, Her defining trait is that she's a mom. 3, she's crazy. 4, she's extremely emotionally unstable. And 5, she's also a bad mom. Those are my demands. Shifts the document over to his editors. They're like, all right, fuck it. All right, we tried. It's like, who beats her? He's like, random dynamite. That's it. All right. Anyway, it'd be a cool twist if Emu's a woman. I'm just saying that with Oda's track record, I feel like it'd be more likely that Emu's like, I don't know, like a fucking, I think it is actually more, never mind, I'm gonna leave it. We're done with this subject. Okay, pros for Blackbeard. I'd say would be more I think most people would agree that it would be more, it would be more interesting, right? Would be more interesting. Blackbeard has been around longer. It's a pirate villain to end a pirate story. Could see it as both. Could see it as world government is defeated and final battle is determining what the dawn of the world will look like. All right. Sorry, I'm missing a couple here. Thank you. Oh, Zoozer Flivens, thanks a lot. I'm sorry. I forgot. I just registered the hot dog and I didn't think about it. I was like, sorry, I forgot to shout it out. Thank you. Tom says, and she's fat. Yeah, I don't know. And it's like, and she really likes desserts and shit. I don't know. The Senate, thanks for the 2. If Emu was a woman, it'll give serious Kaguya vibes. I just don't think it's the same. I think that, I don't think it's the same. I think Kaguya was established, like, the problem is that Kaguya was only mentioned once, Only mentioned once, maybe twice, I forget, Naruto fans might remember. But she was only mentioned once, really not built up at all as a woman, and came in last minute, right? Emu was introduced chapter 900, right? If the story goes to chapter 1300, which is honestly at minimum 1300, right? It's not fucking ending anytime soon. We've still got some fucking ways to go. So we say minimum 1300, maybe max 1400. It's like, that's a fucking long ass time for the villain to be established as a villain. Like 900, like 400 to 500 chapters of existing as a villain. Like, that's longer than fucking Jujutsu Kaisen. That's longer than, like, Demon Slayer, That's longer than, like, Fairy Tail, I'm pretty sure. Like, that's longer than a lot of series, That's longer than Bleach, I think. Maybe it's not longer than Bleach. It's not longer than Bleach. But you know what I'm saying. Like, that's a fucking long-ass time to be the main villain. I think that's okay. I think that's very different. Lucky Man, thanks for being a Pirate King Team member for 12 months, man. Bonnie clinging on to Jinbei's robe is so cute. Why does Oda keep holding back on her joining officially? San Juan Wolf is also strangely adorable putting the house back in place. I did like that. San Juan Wolf is funny. He's low-key one of my favorite Blackbeard parts. I think one of the sad things about San Juan Wolf is that his niche of being the big guy in the crew, it's so clearly overshadowed by Avalo Pizarro. You know what I mean? It's just, Avalo Pizarro is just straight up the better version of San Juan Wolf. Because San Juan Wolf's thing is just that he's this big guy, but Avalo Pizarro is literally an island. San Juan Wolf, it's like, oh, the battleship San Juan Wolf. It's like, that dude's fucking island. Like, it's not really fair, I think, to poor San Juan Wolf. I remember during the Onigashima, or the Hachinosu raid, there wasn't even really a panel devoted to Garp beating up San Juan Wolf. It was literally we just got a panel of San Juan Wolf being thrown into the water. Like, we didn't even see what Garp did to him. But that was cute. As for, I think, okay, here's what I like to believe. I like to believe that Kuma will die because I think the paw fruit will be redistributed to Vivi. I think that's a good shot, okay? So I think Kuma dying is very, very likely. I think that Bonnie officially joining the crew, I think that's her final step of development, which would be something like her father passing away, and then her joining after that, right? So I think those are the things that are possible. right, can I get some good arguments for Blackbeard being the final villain? I'm sorry, it's hard to see here. Some good arguments for Blackbeard being the final villain. Have some more space to work with here. Okay. Oh, the world panel? That's a good point. More personal. He's the anti-Luffy. Yeah, Blackbeard is darkness. I should say more build-up. No, because around longer is... I think around longer is more accurate, because you could argue that Emu represents the world government and Celestial Dragons, which arguably have more build-up. X singles man X, thanks for the 2. To be honest, Luffy versus Blackbeard versus Emu makes sense. That could be cool, but I don't know if that would actually happen. I think that might be a lot. I think that would be a little bit of an unfocused fight to me. I think. Lars Caesar, thanks a lot. It'll always be a pirate story because Emu was a pirate. That's true, because there is a running idea that, like, I don't know if Emu was literally a pirate, but the theme is that, you know, what is or isn't a pirate is basically determined by if you win or not, right? Like, if you get to win and take over, then you can call yourself the king. But if you, like, lose, then you're just a criminal. You're a pirate, right? 00 Flippins, thanks for the 5. Strongest female character, best I can do is mental illness. Oda. Yeah, I just think it's funny that, like, the one top tier that is most clearly flawed, both mentally and in terms of feats, etc., is the one that is the only female top tier. I think that's kind of funny. JWP, thanks for the 5. Morjman, early stream caught me lacking. Are you on vacation? If so, are you enjoying it? I am on vacation right now. I'm on a little trip with my family to Iceland, which is very, very nice. We flew in Saturday early morning. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. There's Polmau, holy shit. Let me finish what I'm saying with JWP, but thank you so much, Polmau. I am on vacation. We're in Iceland. And yeah, it's been really, really scenic beauty. I was telling everybody that I'm going to have to call stream a bit earlier than usual. That's why time zone is off and everything. I'm going to have to call stream a bit earlier than usual simply because we're trying to catch the northern lights. We caught a little bit yesterday, but it was very hazy. And there's just a lot of circumstances that need to line up to catch it. So we're going to do some northern light hunting. So we're going to be traveling around trying to find a place with low cloud cover. And holy okay, let me get to everybody. Hold on. First of all, Polmau, holy shit, thank you so much. Always appreciate it. Seriously, what the fuck? Thank you, Polmau. I feel like, yeah, holy shit. Thanks for coming through. What the fuck? Thank you, Polmau. It's been a moment since I feel like I've heard a bit more from you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope you've been doing well. I hope you've been enjoying One Piece lately. A lot of people who've got to say thank you to Polmau in chat right now. Isaac, Ampofo, Kevin N, Selwyn Tan, Brian Lazema, Dirty Monkey, Maygreen, Roberto, Marvin Mash, Vivi Vigo, Varp TM, Flummox Fox, Joseph S. I don't think I have time to read everybody at this moment in time, but just everybody in chat say thank you to Polmau. Big thanks to Polmau. He just gifted a lot of Hugh memberships. Holy shit, thank you so much. And Jolly D Joestar. Holy fuck, thank you for the 50. Thank you so much. Again, for the long-time support from you as well. The theme of One Piece at the end of the day is freedom. I believe Emu represents why we need freedom, but after we're free, what type of freedom should we have? Anarchy freedom, Blackbeard, or socialism freedom, Luffy? So Blackbeard will be the last stand. That is a very good argument. That is a really good thematic argument. I talked about that to some degree in my first Blackbeard analysis that I ever did. Not the newer one. I did a newer one, but I think the original one I did was better. final thematic battle will be... Hold on. This is what I was worried about. More so about what type of... freedom is correct. And I do think that's really important because that's a more nuanced discussion than just, like, what emo represents is just obviously... I mean, what Blackbeard represents is obviously wrong too, but Blackbeard's ideals are Blackbeard's ideals are like the... So if emo is like the total opposite of everything Luffy stands for in terms of, like, you know, emo's like control, slavery, oppression, yada, yada, yada. Blackbeard's interesting because Blackbeard's not like a clear opposite to everything that Luffy is. It's very similar values. I mean, their first meeting is literally, their very first meeting is literally like a man's dream will never end, like them sharing similar values. But Blackbeard's version of it is the dangerous, problematic version of it, which is a more nuanced idea and could make for a more interesting final battle and more profound ending thematically to the story than something that's more simple and clear-cut like Emu. So I could definitely see that. All right. Yeah, Paul Malgoat, thank you. Let me catch this. Laura Caesar, thanks a lot. Emu is the opposite of Luffy, though, not just anti. The man who controls is all and isn't free versus the man who controls nothing and is free. All right, let's start putting some stuff for Emu. Emu is literally the opposite of Luffy. Freedom versus... Oops. Fuck. I'm going to add some things myself. U of D equals freeing from Emu, God's natural enemy. An overarching enemy from beginning of story. World government has been the overarching enemy from the beginning of the story. Implied multiple times that CDs are true, evil, and pirates are simply a consequence of their rule. Alright, I'm gonna ask for some more stuff from Emu. Emu is likely strong. Emu is likely strongest character. Dick so small, I pissed off involved 6 with 5. It stands out to me that Egghead ends with Luffy literally and figuratively moving onto Elbaf as Dragon actively plans against the world government. What does that mean? Literally and figuratively, yeah, so he does. Are you saying that Dragon's going to take action against the world government very soon? Esteban BR says, hey, Morj, law for final villain. Yeah, I mean, he's already in final villain in my heart in that he's ruined the story. Just kidding. Aether, thanks for being a Pirate King team member for 18 months. One Piece is theorized to reach space. No Man's Sky is an endless space adventure. The number 16 is obscure but extremely important in both. I think it's the key, yeah, because the 16 holy bullets, it seems like there's 16 rays around Uranus. I think it's the key to what Emu 1-6 and the Celestial Dragons are. Is Mu 6? Is Mu 6? I thought Mu was nothing. I know Ichi is 1. Interesting. I don't know enough about No Man's Sky to say anything like that. Yokai Gotis is the yams, is the power that be. You can, what is it? You can smell it when you're walking down the street. Emu got the yams. What's the yams? Did I get Ramen Stain super chat? Thank you so much, Akash Bandit. Seriously, if you didn't exist, this would be... I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if I got Ramen Stains. Laura Caesar. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 5. All of Blackbeard's plot threads at the moment seem to be leading him towards undermining the world government from within, which makes me think he might be more of a threat in the end. Yeah, let's add this. Sorry, it's just taking a moment to load. Mu is 6. Mu can be short for Mutsu, which is 6. Ah, so it is a 1-6. Interesting. Akash Panda says it's both. Go 5, go Mu 6. So yeah, it's 6, but I fucking forgot about Gomu Gomu. Yeah. Oh, so Emu 16. That is really interesting. That's really interesting. Dick so small, I piss on the wall, thanks to the 5. I think Dragon handles Emu, Luffy handles Blackbeard. Luffy remains passive regarding the world government, while Dragon remains active. Ah, I see what you're saying. I think Luffy will still fight Emu. I think Luffy will fight Emu. I think that's more important. Like, Dragon beating Emu would be kind of insane. The comparison to Dragon that I think of is like kind of how like Wiper was the one who was really focused on beating NL in Skypiea, and Wiper got a good shot in against NL, but ultimately Luffy had to do it, right? Similar to Law in Dressrosa. Like, Law was the one who was really driven to defeat Doflamingo, but ultimately, and he got a good shot in, but ultimately Luffy had to do it, right? I feel like there's a similarity here where, like, in both those storylines, Luffy didn't really care too much about that particular villain. It wasn't personal for him, but he had to swoop in to be the hero that, like, once the main rebel figure couldn't do it. So I wonder if there's going to be something similar, maybe, with, I just wonder if there's going to be something similar with Dragon and Emu with, like, I'm sure Dragon will get some other significant win against Gorsi or something, but I think that Dragon could very well get a good shot in against Emu and then Luffy ultimately beats him. But I see what you're saying. Oh, fuck. Did I get X singles? I thought I did. X singles man's X? I thought I did. I thought I got that one. Did I not get that one? I thought I got that one. Let me scroll. I thought I got that one. I might be wrong. JWP says, also my head says Emu, but my heart says Blackbeard. Yeah. Opoma also said, I like Blackbeard, but Emu's a lot more interesting as final villain. I find Blackbeard more interesting as a final villain because we've seen Emus before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen other Emus in the past. Let me see. Let me try and see on my phone what X-Men's X's was. Let me see real quick. Fuck. I don't think I can see on this. Can someone tell me what the super... Akash, would you be able to tell me what Super M is from X-Men? Damian Wright, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 13 months, man. How do you think Luffy will act with Akainu, Blackbeard, and Emu? So with Akainu and Blackbeard, there's personal hate there. And it's cool because there's not many villains that actually get under Luffy's skin and make him upset. But you can just read Luffy and Blackbeard's interaction in Impel Down. Luffy is fucking, Blackbeard gets to Luffy. It's almost rare. Because, okay, here's what's funny. So with Luffy and Blackbeard, Luffy pisses off a lot of villains in terms of, like a lot of villains are so, like, put together and shit like that, and then Luffy runs into them, and Luffy's this dumbass who's, like, screwing up their plans and stuff like that, and, like, just the way Luffy talks and all of that stuff, it's just, like, it pisses these villains off. They're, like, you have Crocodile who's got his plans together, and Luffy's there, he's like, I'm Water Luffy, I'm here to kick your ass and stuff, and, like, Crocodile's just getting pissed off. Like, Luffy gets under Crocodile's skin a lot, right? Or, like, Arlong, like, Luffy with his, like, I've got shark teeth too, or, like, Luffy talking about, like, I can't use swords, you dumbass. Like, Luffy gets under their skin. He throws them off their game, right? Doflamingo, like, in general, like, Luffy's just, like, pissing them off. Like, he's like, what the fuck's this rubber ball doing fucking with, like, my whole, like, why can't I beat this rubber ball, right? So that's always interesting to see, and it's always what we're used to with Luffy, like, really getting these villains off their game, like, throwing them off their vibe, etc. Blackbeard throws Luffy off his vibe. Like, when you go back and read Blackbeard and Luffy's Impel Down interaction, which I recently reread, it's cool because it's just, like, one of the rare times that you see Luffy, like, not himself. Like, Blackbeard's himself, and Blackbeard's being his usual, like, jokey kind... Blackbeard's the one trolling Luffy. Like, Blackbeard's being kind of jokey and trolly and, like, ha ha ha, blah, blah, blah. And Luffy's the one getting, like, in his feelings and really upset and pissed off and everything like that. So Blackbeard really... I'm sorry, I've got to be a little bit more time efficient here. Hold on. Let me send one message. hold on. Yeah, Blackbeard really pisses Luffy off. From what we've seen, I think Akainu has the potential to do so as well to some degree, because when Akainu's mentioned at Fishman Island, Luffy gets upset. He gets upset, he's holding a scar and stuff. He doesn't act that way towards other villains. Towards other villains, he's like, oh, fuck Doflamingo, that guy sucked or whatever. Like, fuck Mingo, fuck whoever, but when he hears Blackbeard's name or hears Akainu's name, they really set him off. I don't know yet how it'll be with Emu. With Emu, I wonder if Luffy will have more of a relationship with, like he did with, like, Enel and Doflamingo, where it's more like, they're these super composed characters that have everything in the palm of their hands, and then Luffy shows up and he fucks with them and throws them off their game. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici, thanks for the 5. What if Katarina touching Saturn isn't for impersonating him, but rather to understand their nature and find out Emu and the Gorsei's weakness? Oh, like to like experiment on? I don't know if she would gain the ability. Like, is it clear yet if they gain the ability? I don't know if they gain the ability, right? Okay. Wait. Did they gain the ability? No, I don't think they gained the ability. Akash Panda, thanks for filling me in. X Single Man X, sorry for missing this. To be honest, Luffy versus Blackbeard versus... No, we covered this. But thank you. Thank you for pulling it up anyway. Sumerization, thanks for being a Yarn Couture member for 19 months, man. I think Blackbeard over Emu because of the rule in 3 in writing. Enel final boss, Doflamingo final boss, Emu would be like a final boss, but Blackbeard upstage. You're saying like the third time around, Blackbeard upstages? Wouldn't the rule of 3 kind of dictate that Blackbeard... You could view it either way, you know? I also think that with One Piece being such a long story, I don't know if Oda... I'm sure Oda had Emu planned from the beginning, like a big bad final bad guy, but I don't know if like Doflamingo and Enel were planned from the beginning. Okay. Jody South's Buggy's name sets him off too, but like he's like Buggy, like whatever, like but like when you read Luffy and Buggy's interactions, Buggy's the one getting trolled, not Luffy. Like go back and read their initial stuff at Impel Down, like Buggy's the one on the, like he's the one getting like all upset and all flustered and upset with the shit Luffy's doing. Like Luffy's the one who's controlling the pace of their conversations and stuff, you know? Alright guys, we're talking about Akainu. I don't think Akainu. Okay, I'm gonna add to Emu. Emu does fits the traditional big bad all powerful final villain trope. JWP, thanks for the 5-man. Morj for Miss Supers. Why scroll through Top Chat instead of switching to fan fighting to look? Is it just easier to scroll through or because of gifted members or something? The reason, so normally I would, normally if I'm at home, my usual setup is basically I've got one tab open here where I can open, scroll through, see the actual page, etc. Right now, what I've experienced, and if you've seen the last couple streams, because internet is poor, outside of like, and not just internet is poor, the laptop that I'm streaming from is not my usual laptop. It's like a jankier laptop that I have. Because of that, just clicking around tabs threatens to fuck up the stream flow, basically, is what I've experienced. So I'm trying to do the least amount of moving around tabs as possible. I would love to know how many likes the stream has right now, so I could be like, hey, let's get it to the next number of likes. But I've been leaving that alone, because if you watched like the last stream, even then when I was clicking around between tabs, it would fuck things up. So I'm trying to just keep it as simple as possible with this laptop. Fun fact, the reason I don't travel with my better laptop that I use for streaming, the reason I have 2 laptops is because I had this laptop, this old ass laptop that I used to stream from. And then at some point I was just like, okay, I'm like a professional content creator or whatever, let me upgrade to a better laptop. But I didn't get rid of this laptop, right? I kept it. So now when I'm traveling, that's when I use this shitty laptop. The reason I don't bring my good laptop is because you guys remember that one time that, who was here for this arc? The arc where like the laptop that the good laptop got slightly damaged, or not damaged, like something went wrong with it. And so then I like took it to some guy to get it fixed, and that guy wiped the whole thing. Who remembers that arc? Who remembers that? I complained about that for like 3 streams. I was like, here's the situation. So I took it to this guy. This guy's got the laptop right now. All right, this guy's told me that he can fix the laptop for sure. Okay, he said that he can't fix the laptop. Okay, he said that he's wiped the whole thing. Okay, like, it was a whole bunch of shit that happened, basically, with that laptop. Anyway, that's one reason I kind of got scared off anything happening to that laptop, just because of that one experience. But two, so when you go to airport security, a lot of airports, not all of them, but a lot of airports make you take your laptop out of your bag and place it into a tray. Okay? Now, these people, they handle the trays very, very carelessly. So they will shove the trays into, like, they'll just grab the tray, shove it into the conveyor belt, like, hard. So, like, it's happened before. I've seen, like, it clangs around in the case, in the tray. It slams against the conveyor belt. They have no care for it whatsoever. And it's like the TSA. So you don't want to, like, make requests of them too much. Like, they're already not happy to be there. They're already, like, in a very, like, don't put up with shit sort of mood. So, like, requesting that they don't treat the laptop roughly is difficult. So it's like, I've realized that even if I take it in a good case, it's still going to have to come out of that case at some point in airport security, most likely. And that laptop is very likely going to be shoved aggressively around in a tray, or, like, tossed onto a conveyor belt, or just, like, treated in a manner that makes me worry. So anyway, TSA pre is crucial. I've never used that. Maybe I should. Anyway, Virgil Hawkins, thanks for being a Pirate King Team member for 23 months, man. Thoughts on recent Chainsaw Man stuff? Please don't tell me. I'm gonna catch up. I swear I'm gonna catch up. I've heard it's really good. And in All of Your Life, can you think of an in-story? The last thing I was in was them breaking out a certain character. That's all I'll say. Breaking out a certain character of where he was being imprisoned. That's it. That's all I'll say. I think that's vague enough. It's not a spoiler. And in All of Your Life, can you think of an in-story world that you were enamored with and would really want to live with? You said not One Piece. Shit. One Piece would be fucking cool. Honestly, Harry Potter's so cool because it just seems so accessible, if that makes sense. Because in Harry Potter, like, everything's so, like, the way the Harry Potter world works, I feel like one of the charms of it is that it feels like it mirrors real life so much, right? In the sense that, like, you get magic powers and then you're in the society, but, like, the way it functions is similar to just being like you get how to explain this? Like, if you just try to be a good student and stuff in Harry Potter, then you can become a very powerful wizard. You know what I mean? Like, if you, like, there's a path to, like, you study things, you practice, you treat it like you would just getting better at math or studies or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, if you're dropped into certain universes, like, if I'm dropped into, like, Naruto, it's like, fuck, am I born with the Sharingan? Like, am I born with good genetics? Am I, like, do I have good chakra stores and stuff? Do I master good jutsu? Like, or, like, One Piece, do I get a good devil fruit? Like, a lot of it's up in the air. Like, I feel like Harry Potter just feels so simple. Like, you go to school, you study potions and stuff. I'm like, I could study potions. I could become a good potion person or something. It's like studying fucking chemistry, you know? Like, and just, like, there's so much that you can do there. Like, you can drink potions that give you good luck. There's so much, like you can drink polyjuice potion. You can transform into other people. You can fly broomsticks. You can fly around. Like, anything you can kind of want to do, you can do in Harry Potter. And then, like, the food always sounds good. Like, butterbeer. Just the world of it seems very, very enjoyable in so many ways. And then on top of that, everything just seems very doable. Like, does that make sense? Everything just seems very doable. Like, you understand how you're supposed to be studied. Like, you work at it and you can be a fucking good ass magician for the most part, a wizard, you know? So Harry Potter might be kind of a boring answer, but I think Harry Potter could be a lot of fun. Brandon King, thanks for the 2. Emu, stories, geocentrism losing to heliocentrism. So some old school, like, just general old school, like, astronomy, like, a history lesson, basically. That's interesting. Put me in the Pokemon universe. I don't like being dependent on, like, capturing and trading creatures. I think I just feel bad. And I don't know if I would treat the Pokemon, like, would I want to treat the Pokemon as pets or companions or what? I don't know. Good Life, thanks for the 5. Emu is the primogenitor of 90% of tragedy in One Piece. Most indirectly, as when asked, why is X character like this? It fits because of the system. Yeah. Emu is essentially origin source of all modern problems in One Piece. Alright, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to call stream pretty soon. We're getting to that time. Gerard, thanks for the 10. Hi, Morj, first stream in a while. I hope you've been coming early. Long story short, I'm quitting my shitty job at Home Depot and have 3 interviews in 2 days. Holy shit, congrats, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. I know sometimes the job market can be really difficult, but like it sounds like you set yourself up really, really well. So you got your pick of the litter. How does Imu's story end if Blackbeard is final villain? So some people suggested somebody else defeats Imu, a la Dragon. I still think Luffy defeated. I think if Imu's not the final villain, I still think Luffy needs to defeat him, or Blackbeard himself needs to defeat him and then take his Devil Fruit, personally. I think if Imu is not the final villain, it would be Blackbeard taking his Devil Fruit. That's the one route that I think makes sense. So in that case, I think it would be something like Blackbeard himself is the one that supplants Imu. Maybe Luffy fights him for a bit, and then Blackbeard takes the fruit afterwards. Plus, Hogwarts school sounds fun. It sounds more fun than like normal school for sure. Good Life, and I might make this the last one. Part 2 made them like P2 made them like this. Kaido and Big Mom are fed up because Imu made them like this. Kaido and Big Mom are fed up because the world was too cruel. Yeah, and they have different versions of what the ideal world would be like. Marines as well. Kuma and Robin backstories are most tragic and require direct action. Yeah. And those are the world government based ones. Oh, to save the most tragic. I'll add that as a good point. I've already got the pirates are simply a consequence of the rule. I'm going to say, meaning all other villains stem from Imu, essentially. As you can see, even just typing, it's like a delay because shit goes slow. Most tragic stories have been world government based. Alright. This might be... Yeah, I think this might be it. We're going to call it here. So I'm going to do a poll to see what you guys feel now. Akash Panda says Imu versus Joy Boy, 800 years of build-up. Yeah. Viper FF says, hello, bro. Love from India. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. What time is it in India right now? Okay. All right, everybody. Imu's Ewatch and Blackbeard is Aizen, but with more time to cook. That's actually a really fucking good... That's a phenomenal comparison. I like that comparison quite a bit. That is actually a phenomenal comparison. I never thought about it like that, but that fits. That fucking fits. All right. More likely to be final villain. We're going to do a more likely to be final villain, and then who do you prefer? So we're going to do more likely first. So what do you think? Like, you got to bet your life on it. Like, you will die if you get this question wrong. So bet with your heart. Not your heart. Bet with your head. All right? Oh, shit. What? Well, Blackbeard's made quite a comeback in recent times. I think, for a long time, I thought Imu was just cut and dry, more likely to be the final villain. It's a lot tighter now than it used to be. A lot tighter. If I had to bet with my life, I would still bet Imu. Like, if it's like, you die if you get this wrong, like, who's going to be the final villain, Imu or Blackbeard, I would probably bet Imu. I just think that's slightly more likely. I think also just, like, one of the big things I'd add is just, like, in general, Final Saga has been way more, focused on building up world government than Blackbeard Pirates. Like, literally all of Egghead just now. Like, it had the Blackbeard parts featured, but the entire arc was about setting up the world government and building up a lot more than the world government. Like, Vegapunk's whole speech was literally about, like, taking them down and shit. Brandon King, Morj missed my super, I think. Brandon, you mind just mentioning what it is? Okay, now let me do a who would you prefer? Who would you prefer? I think I would prefer Blackbeard. This is how I know. This is how I am confident I'm not biased, because I would generally prefer Blackbeard to be the final villain. Who would you prefer to be the final villain? And I do think it's definitely possible. I just think Emu's more likely to me. I think there's an argument for sure. For either. Fully Gruely says, I think the fact that Emu's expected final villain, Blackbeard has to be the final villain because subverting expectations is just what Oda does. That's what I thought for the entire Wano arc. I was like, there's no way Oda's writing an arc where it's just like, it's impossible. Every character's saying it's impossible for us to lose and it's obvious for us to win. I'm like, Oda, like, this is just too fucking obvious, right? There's no way that, like, characters are literally party planning and on the way to Onigashima and talking about how obvious and easy it is that they're going to win, and then they just win, right? That'd be kind of insane. And then you guys kind of know what happened, which is expectations were not, in fact, subverted. Also, by the way, let me add this, which is that, yeah, Oda does like to subvert expectations, but in many ways he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, he subverts expectations when he can think of a cool plot twist here or there, but it's not like when we're reading the Baroque Work Saga and we're aware that Crocodile's going to be the final villain of it at the end of the day, right? Like, when we're reading fucking, like, Dressrosa, we know Doflamingo's going to be the final villain. Like, when certain things are... It's very rare that Oda pulls a bait and switch with who seems set up to be the final villain and who turns out to be the final villain. Closest I can think of is, like, Whole Cake with Katakuri. I think Katakuri turning out to be the actual final villain instead of Big Mom was a cool twist. But, like, even in Wano, the entire time I'm reading Wano, and I'm like, well, the raid's going to fail because it's just too obvious for them to, like, win here. It's just too easy, considering they just said they're going to do it and then they do it without any sort of tension or issues or whatever, right? And no low point in the arc. That's my thought. I was like, oh, they're just going to win without a low point? That seems kind of simple. Even though they're saying, like, they're saying it's obvious that they're going to win the entire time and then they win. That's kind of crazy. And then that can just happen. But even I, during that entire time, wasn't thinking it's going to subvert expectations to the point that, like, Kaido's not the final villain or something. He's going to be supplanted as the final villain or that, like, something like that. All right. So people prefer Blackbeard. I also prefer Blackbeard. I think it'd be really cool if Oda finds a way to make Blackbeard the final villain. I could see it happening. To be honest, one of the biggest detractors to me for Blackbeard being the final villain, it's literally his shitty fucking crew. Like, Shiryu being a fucking bum, Dimian Rights membership, yeah, let me check that. Shiryu being a fucking bum, Sanji having absolutely nobody as a decent option, those are things that make me question Blackbeard. It's fucking crew. His fucking crew is ass. All right, let me see. Dimian Wright's membership. Dimian Wright. Oh, Brandon King says, Emu, story is geocentrism, losing the heliocentrism. No, but I covered that, Brandon King. I covered that. You might have missed that, but I did cover that. I don't know. What was Dimian Wright? What did Dimian Wright say? Beyond that, we're going to close out. Can someone tell me what Dimian Wright said, please, and then we're going to call the stream there. I'm just really short on time, so if we don't have it, I'm going to have to answer it next stream. All right, I'm going to give it 5 seconds. All right, I think I'm going to have to just call it here. All right, if I did not get Dimian Wright's message, I will check before next stream, or we will check at the start of next stream, and then I will get it then. All right, that's it for this stream. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm sorry that was shorter than usual, but my family and I, we're going to try and catch the Northern Lights really quick. So thank you very, very much for tuning in. And yeah, I'll talk to you all later. Chapter coming out this Thursday. So I'll be streaming like this again from Iceland. So thank you very, very much.